Hello ladies and gentlemen, Tevaron here and welcome back to Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair, where we are getting ready to dive into what has been stated several times is the final trial. So let's jump right into it.
Damn right.
Looks like everyone's here. Yeah, all that's left at any rate, so few of us.
Huh?
Is this it? Shouldn't there be more people?
Damn it.
Stop it. You're making me depressed.
Stupid fool!
So, it is going to happen again. The cruel conflict where we must doubt our friends.
But once we're through this, we can go back, right?
That's right.
That Monokuma bastard said so, didn't he? He said this is the last class trial.
Damn it.
But we've been fricked every step of the way. There's no way I can believe that so easily.
Of course not.
Why can't you believe it? The guy who's making us do all this is the one saying it, you know?
You know, right?
That's why I'll definitely survive. If we can really go home after we deal with this class trial,
That's right.
I'll definitely find out who the killer is, no matter what, even if I have to pull out all the stops.
You...
What the fuck? Why are you here?
You haven't realized it yet? That feeling of wanting to leave this island, thinking like that is Monokuma's trap, you know?
Huh?
What are you saying?
Got it?
There's no way Monokuma will end things here. He's planning something far worse. Stop trying to jinx us.
I'll beat you up!
Damn right, stupid rabbit should just shut up.
Everyone, you mustn't run away from despair.
Huh?
I have finally realized, after losing my powers, I finally realized that cursing your powerlessness or your fate accomplishes nothing. The possibility may be small, but as long as there's a possibility, you must face it. In order to become someone who can be proud of yourself. So I will fight.
Huh?
What's her deal? I think she's finally gotten fed up with Monokuma. I do not really know, but she seems different from before.
Maybe she read a self-help book.
Wait.
But her eyes, she looks so determined.
You...
What can you tell just by looking at those button eyes?
Ah...
Anyway, make sure you turn off Minimaru. It'd be annoying if he started talking during the trial.
Fine.
But still.
Somehow, I understand what Monokuma is saying, I think. Anyway, let's get going to the last class trial.
Yep.
You're right. We need to fight as much as we can. No matter what hopeless truth awaits us in the end. Never thought that the escalator shooting out of Monokuma Rock would seem commonplace, especially compared to the last trial, but here we are, and it is. This is the end. I kept saying those words to myself over and over within my mind. I entered Monokuma Rock.
Yeah.
This elevator ride, this'll be the last time for this too, right?
And the last time, before I forget, for us to buy abilities. Let's see. We've only got 3 points. We only had 2 free time events this chapter. So there's not a lot of choice for us. And I think probably we should just going to take Moonsault to increase jumping power during Logic Dive. Sure. We got way more slots than we'll ever have skills to fill, it appears. But anyway. I hope so.
Well,
Let's worry about things after we're finished.
you are right.
More importantly, we must focus on the class trial before us.
Is it just me, or are these elevator rides seeming to get longer every time?
Damn it.
The killer managed to kill someone like Nagito? There's no way this is going to go smoothly. I mean, I still can't believe one of us was able to do that.
Nagito was problematic in many ways, but he was also a valuable asset during the trials.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, you're right. In fact, during the Funhouse ordeal, we were completely dependent upon him. But even if he's gone, the ones who've survived need to stand and fight. We must fight. And then, the door slowly opened. The bright light greeting us? Is that the light of hope? Or the light of despair?
Well now.
Well then, now that the chatterbox Nagito is gone, there are only 6 of you left.
Shut the hell up!
Enough, just fucking stop this already.
Hey!
This is it, right? This is really the last class trial, right?
Yep.
It sure is. So, you gotta show some enthusiasm, and make sure to give it your all.
All right!
Didn't I tell you? He said it. This is the end.
Yeah, but his definition of end could be just, we all die.
Now then.
Let's get this trial started.
Viva killing!
This is the last class trial. Let's show some enthusiasm and kill each other.
This is the 5th class trial. According to Monokuma, this is also the last class trial. That curtain is about to rise. Nagito Komaeda, the ultimate lucky student. When I first met him, I thought he was a nice guy. He came across as very sociable. I thought he was, Makoto. But his true nature held such a demented thought process that was nothing like his outward appearance. He said he believed in hope more than anything. He said he was yearning for a powerful hope that can overcome any despair. He said he would even help despair just to prove that hope will never lose to despair. And he said he'd become a stepping stone for hope. His way of thinking was completely screwed up. But there were also times he saved us too. Someone like him was killed. That was the end of him. And I have no idea at all who did it, but, I mean, I think he set it all up himself. And one thing now that struck me, I think, because I took some time off between episodes to rest, because these trials take a lot out of me. But anyway, I think I figured out why the back of his hand was also clean. If his hand was tied down while he was holding the cord to the spear, then the back of his hand would have been against the floor, and that's why it wouldn't have had blood splattered on it. So, just the curled finger part that would be around the cord itself. So many gone. There's no way we can end this without knowing. We will be consumed by despair. That's why we absolutely have to find out. That person who finished off Nagito. The killer who murdered Nagito. In order to return from this despair alive, we need to reach the truth. And if Monokuma says this is really the last class trial, That's all the more reason we need to do this. And so, this life-threatening trial billowing with hope and despair, the last one, has begun. Alright. Just equip that last skill that we purchased. And make sure all the rest are still equipped. I think they are. Let's see, 2 of our skills were a wasted purchase, but I didn't know at the time because they don't jive with the 2 gift skills we got. Either way, I think we're ready to begin. Let's go.
Now then, let's begin with a simple explanation of the class trial.
I'd rather you didn't. We've heard this 4 times before in this game and more than that in the first game.
During the class trial, you will present your... If you vote correctly, then
Yep,
only
I
I will
got it.
punish everyone beside...
Oh, Monami. Or Usami, sorry. Usami. I'll call you by your real name.
Oh my, Monami? My cute little sister? You're awfully quiet. What's happened to you?
And I noticed for the first time ever at a class trial, she's not trussed up and hanging beside him.
You've ascended the ladder of adulthood and reached the moon? Because you're a rabbit?
Get him, Usami.
Chesto!
Or don't.
One more time! Jeez! How about this one?
Is she gonna pull a Rocky and just let him beat the ever-loving crap out of her but still keep standing?
This will be my final blow!
Yeah, she is.
It's useless.
She's like a piece of iron.
Please stop! I feel bad for Monomi.
You're right. Now's not the time for me to horse around with Monami. The class trial has started, after all. The victim this time is Nagito, who was attempting to reveal the traitor for everyone's sake. Who in the world killed him? I'm so curious.
If he was killed for trying to reveal the traitor, that traitor is obviously the killer. They were trying to shut Nagito up.
I don't think that's the case.
No, that might not be it.
Huh? Are you trying to protect the traitor? They didn't call out when we were in danger. Wait. Don't tell me you're the traitor.
Don't say something so stupid. There's no way in hell I'm the traitor.
Now that's more like it. Why don't you guys hurry and start arguing already?
In due time, Monokuma. The traitor and the killer who murdered Nagito is here, right? Are they the same person? I don't know. Nagito killed himself, so the only way they could be the same person is if he's also the traitor. Or... I'm not sure what we're going to need, so just listen to the argument.
The killer didn't tape Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
So that's why he was so beat up.
What were they trying to find out by torturing him? Definitely the bomb's hiding place.
If so, the suspect
Is whoever found the bomb first.
That was Fuyuhiko.
I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone.
Why did the killer have to torture Nagito? I mean, I think he did it to himself, but the conclusion otherwise would be to find where the bomb is. No, were the wounds on Nagito's body really caused by torture in the first place? I don't think so. How do we prove that?
The killer didn't tape Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
So that's why he was so beat up.
What were they trying to find out by torturing him? Definitely the bomb's hiding place.
Perhaps it's...
If so, the suspect is whoever found the bomb first!
That was Fuyuhiko.
I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone.
Okay, so if we go with the conjecture that Nagito hurt himself, then the duct tape would have been so that he couldn't scream out, because if someone else was torturing him to try to find out where the bomb was, he couldn't have told them with duct tape on his mouth. Yeah, that's it.
The killer didn't tape Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
Because he could have used it to keep himself from screaming out. Yep,
No,
looks like.
that's wrong.
But Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape, so he wouldn't have been able to confess anything.
Absolutely.
If he was being tortured for information, they wouldn't have taped his mouth like that.
I'm prepared.
Oh, God.
Ah, I just realized it. It's a trap.
It is?
Trap?
Stupid Hajime. You got caught in that trap.
Uh-huh. Stupid? Not sure which sword to use, so let's just stick with duct tape for now.
Like you said, if Nagito's mouth was taped shut, you'd obviously assume he couldn't talk, right? But that was the trap. They wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
But if you tape his mouth shut, how is he supposed to answer anything?
Pay attention, this is how it went. First, the killer tortured Nagito and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him...
Allow me to cut through those words!
The duct tape was put on before they killed him.
There's no doubt Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape before he was beat up.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Who cares about the duct tape? We might as well settle this with rock, paper, scissors.
Why do you always assert something so stupid like that, Akane? That is the worst idea imaginable.
We don't need to play a game. It's clear the duct tape was on his mouth before the torture even began.
Why do you always side with Hajime? Do you have a crush on him or something?
No, it's because Hajime is right. Ad hominem attacks only reveal the weakness of your own argument.
You were with us when I peeled the duct tape off Nagito's mouth, right? The blood on Nagito's face wasn't under the duct tape, remember?
Mm-hmm.
The blood on his face came from his arm wounds, which means the duct tape was on his face before his arms were even wounded.
And the duct tape had a lot of crinkles around his mouth.
Like he'd sucked it inside while he was screaming.
He must have been struggling to open his mouth under the duct tape.
Or just screaming, because he knew it wouldn't escape because he was duct taped.
Perhaps the duct tape was used so he wouldn't be able to scream. Then it's like I said at the beginning. The tape wasn't for torture. It was to keep his mouth shut.
Yes, I agree with that.
However, if they wanted to seal his mouth, they did not need to hurt him with such ferocity.
Yeah, but if someone else had killed him, why would they care whether they hurt him with ferocity? They might have even enjoyed it.
They probably had a deep grudge against Nagito.
Then, are you saying the killer was trying to make him suffer?
If so, it's friggin' crazy. Did they go psycho or something?
Yes, the killer who killed Nagito was psycho.
No, they didn't just go crazy. Whoever did this must be one crafty bastard.
Yes, I agree with that too, Fuyuhiko.
If not, they wouldn't have taken the time to set fire to the crime scene and destroy all the evidence.
Hmm? The warehouse fire was for destroying evidence?
Sorta. Was to destroy the evidence of him doing it himself.
We can't think of any other reason.
But who could have done that?
Yes, who indeed?
When the fire occurred, everyone in this room was gathered in front of the warehouse.
Well,
Yeah. And right after I opened the warehouse door, the flames started burning from the very back.
yeah, that has to do with a domino effect.
Which means it is plausible to think that nobody here set the fire.
Well, in a way, Akane did. And then, in another way, Nagito did, because he's the one who set up the whole, Rube Goldberg type machine.
The killer isn't one of us. But that's not the case, huh? I mean, it's wishful thinking.
Even if it was only a coincidence, the timing was just too perfect.
Based on the pattern up until now, we should suspect that some kind of setup was used for this.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of setup? Like what?
I do not know that, but that has been the pattern before.
That's our Miss Sonia. You have such an amazingly high intellect.
I'm so over you, Kazuichi.
Alrighty then. Let's think about this based on what Miss Sonia thinks. Is that okay, Miss Sonia?
Damn right it is!
The reason for the fire, huh? They're right. We need to clear that up first. Okay, well this is easy to determine.
The direct cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
The killer used some kind of setup. He lit the curtain on fire with the lighter.
Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse?
Not
They
really.
probably just threw the lighter.
Based on the shape of that oil lighter, it can stand upright while the flame is lit.
If they tipped over the lighter in some way, it could have ignited the curtain.
Yeah.
Some way?
Maybe they used invisible thread.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
Or perhaps opening the door caused.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's what did it.
I also agree that opening the door is what started the fire.
Just as I thought, it was the wind pressure. A dust devil blown here from glorious Japan!
Not quite.
No, not wind pressure. They probably used the Monokuma panels. A huge number of tipped-over Monokuma panels were found at the crime scene, right? It looked like they were scattered everywhere, but some were laying on top of each other in a single line. Just a single line leading from the warehouse door to the fire's origin.
Does that mean anything?
Yes.
The killer probably arranged those Monokuma panels to create a domino effect.
A domino effect. You mean those tiles kids play with by lining them up and tipping them over?
Yeah, I mean, that's not the way they're meant to be played with. Dominoes is actually a game, but still perfectly valid for having fun, or starting a fire in this case.
In place of those tiles, the killer used the Monokuma panels. So when we opened the warehouse door, the first panel toppled into the second.
That is a very nice diagram there. Well drawn. Sorry, just kind of looking at the way everything's laid out.
And from there, they fell like dominoes until they reached the lighter at the end.
But wouldn't it be obvious that those big panels were falling over?
Not really the way that she did it.
That's probably why they turned off the lights in the warehouse, so we wouldn't notice them.
So the reason the warehouse was dark was to hide the domino effect.
Makes sense.
And one more thing. There was something else the killer did to hide the domino effect, right?
The music? The killer did one other thing to hide the domino effect. there was music playing so we wouldn't hear the stuff crashing. The MP3 player? Yeah.
I see.
You're talking about the MP3 player, right? That hymn blaring throughout the warehouse masked the sound of the falling panels.
Yep.
That's it. So the strange sound was actually the sound of the panels falling.
But those sounds weren't the only strange thing, right? Looking back on it, it was also strange when we opened the door to the warehouse.
Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about here. About the door being jammed or locked or something? Yeah, she couldn't open it at first. She had to kick it open, didn't she? Yep, kicked it open.
Ah, so the door was being blocked by a Monokuma panel.
Okay, that makes sense.
And when we opened the door, the domino effect started, and the falling panels eventually reached the lighter.
Yeah, and that's how the warehouse caught on fire. At least, that's how it looks.
You don't look so sure.
At the time, Akane mentioned that she could barely open the door.
Because the panel was blocking it, right?
Oh. And the door was the only way into or out of the warehouse, right? So that's another thing that kind of proves that Nagito set it all up himself, because if any one of the others of us that are in the trial here had done it, we couldn't have left the warehouse.
But the blocked doorway, there wasn't enough space for a person to fit through, right?
Right?
Is that a problem?
It's a major problem. I mean, that door was the only entrance to the warehouse.
If that door was the only entrance to the warehouse... I see, so the problem Chiaki's talking about is the killer couldn't have left.
I see.
And they didn't.
If the panel was so close to the door that it could barely be opened, the killer inside the warehouse wouldn't be able to leave, right?
Now that you mention it.
Does that mean they were hiding inside?
Who? We were all outside the warehouse, you know.
Based on the patterns up until now, I believe some kind of setup was used.
You don't have to think so hard. There's actually only one person who could have possibly done this.
Damn straight. Huh?
You don't mean...
Yes, she does. But if that's true, this murder...
Hajime? What do you mean?
The person who set up the domino effect inside the warehouse. There's no way we're going to end this quickly. There's going to be something more complicated going on. There's only one person who could have done that. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go to the right. Yay! Nagito Komaeda.
This is my answer. What if it was Nagito?
Why'd you bring him up? He's the victim, you know.
He's also the perpetrator.
He wasn't just the victim. Maybe.
Huh?
Not just the victim? What does that mean?
He was the victim, and he was the perpetrator too. Maybe.
And we used the exact same term, too. Good on you, Chiaki.
Are you saying this was a suicide? Don't be stupid.
It was a suicide with the intent to frame.
His body was covered in torture wounds. Or did you already forget?
He did that to make us think someone tortured him to find the location of the bomb, but he didn't think far enough ahead to realize that putting the tape on his mouth first and then not removing it after would belie that claim.
Are you saying those were all self-inflicted?
But Nagito might do something like that, don't you think?
Yeah, I really do think.
that's not the issue. He was tied up, remember?
Not exactly. 3 limbs were tied up. The 4th had a knife through his palm.
Even for a creep like Nagito, it'd be impossible for him to tie up his own arms and legs.
All 4 of them, perhaps, but not just 3.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, as long as you understand.
Taken aback a bit there, Fuyuhiko.
It seems we need to discuss how Nagito was able to tie himself up.
Need to discuss? That's not necessary at all. No matter how much you think about it, it's clearly impossible.
Like you said, it seems impossible if you think about it, but I feel like I'm overlooking something. Okay. The survival knife that was through his hand, because that proves he wasn't all tied up.
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your front tail?
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
Yes. Okay, I think it's the very first thing that Fuyuhiko said. If our assumption that Nagito committed suicide is correct, Nagito should have tied himself up too. That's okay, right?
To actually tie up your own arms and legs.
Okay, well that's wrong. What's the connection between what you're saying and the fact that his arms and legs were tied up? Well, only 3 were tied up. If you got something to say, then face me and say it, dumbass.
Crap!
Did I use the wrong bullet?
To actually tie up your own arms and legs.
Maybe the burned rope? Can I get in there?
No, that's wrong.
Oh, okay.
Hold on a sec. Isn't that premise flawed?
What? I mean, it's no mistake that his arms and legs were...
No, 1 arm and both legs.
No, it shouldn't have been both of his arms. The rope on his right arm was completely burnt up. Based on that, you can't say he was tied up.
That was just burned by the fire. He should have been tied up before then.
Then why was the knife through his palm?
It burned because of the fire. Like you said, it might look like that. But that was part of the trap. There's concrete evidence that proves it.
The proof that the burnt rope on Nagito's right arm is a trap. The knife.
Crap!
Oh, really? Okay. There should be other proof that shows the burned rope was a trap. Do we have evidence for some of these? Okay, the oil lighter doesn't prove it. Huh. I'm not sure. The only thing that makes sense is his right sleeve, but I don't remember seeing something about that.
I see.
Okay.
Take a close look at his right sleeve. Even though the rope was burnt up, his sleeve wasn't burned at all.
Oh.
Wouldn't you agree?
Right. That's it. That makes sense. I remember. Yeah. Okay.
A burn like this, no matter how you think about it, is unnatural. That rope was burned in advance so it would look like it was burned in the fire.
Then Nagito's right arm wasn't tied up, right?
Yeah, that should be the case.
Hajime, that's awesome! I'll let you cop a feel if you want.
No thanks, and I'm really creeped out that you keep offering.
Akane, you should not give it away for free. Make sure they pay you first.
Right. I mean, if you want to be a sex worker, there's nothing wrong with that. Just so you're aware, that's what you will be.
That's definitely wrong.
Fine. I just gotta get a Benjamin from him before I let him touch me, right?
Oh, God.
That's not what I meant. I'm talking about Nagito. I mean, even if his right hand wasn't tied up, the knife was still stabbed into it, you know?
He did that himself.
It's impossible to stab a knife into your right hand with your right hand.
Ah, that much is obvious.
I mean, there's ways.
Hajime, you tricked me. Give me back that Benjamin.
What? Not only did she try to charge me, now she wants the money back? What the heck?
Hold on. There should be a way.
Then hurry up and spill it.
If it's something lame, I'll make you give back the Benjamin with 10,000% interest.
Way to stab yourself in your right hand using only your right hand. It's okay, there's definitely an answer for this. Alright.
Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
Just a second, I want to check something. In the truth bullet. Yeah, that's it. That is it.
If he threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall,
He stuck it
could
into
he
the
stab his
plushie.
hand that way?
That's why it was bloody.
Is he a throwing knife expert?
That's why the hole was cut in it too.
Maybe he propped the knife somehow?
Yes, I agree.
I agree with that. The life-sized Monokuma plushie. He must have used that to prop the knife.
Makes sense. That's why there was a big hole in the plushie's stomach.
Mm-hmm.
He inserted the knife handle into that hole to prop it up. Then he slammed his hand onto it. If that's it, he had to place the plushie near him. And it also explains the mysterious blood on the plushie.
So the blood on the plushie came from Nagito after he stabbed the knife into his own right hand.
I see. So that's the trick.
But for a moment, I seriously thought Monokuma died or something.
And honestly, the reason the plushie was so far forward in the room was probably because he tried to hit it over to where it would burn up in the fire before he slammed his hand back.
A bleeding plushie is super scary. It's got the same fear factor as a doll whose hair grows too long.
So not very scary?
After stabbing his hand, he no longer needed the plushie, so he cast it off toward the fire's origin point.
Yep.
He probably thought the fire would incinerate it and destroy the evidence.
So what do you think now, Fuyuhiko?
I get what you're saying about the wound on his right hand, but there's still one huge problem.
And that is?
The spear. Basically, you're saying Nagito committed suicide by impaling himself with a spear, right?
Right. He draped the cord over the girder, held the cord in his left hand over there, and then let go of it. Probably when he heard the door open.
If you think about the order, getting killed by the spear should have been the last thing to happen to Nagito.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If that's true, how is that possible? He can't grab a spear with his right hand if a knife is stabbed into it and his left hand was all tied up.
Right, but he could have been gripping it before his left hand was tied up, right? And just held it the whole time.
Then he probably took the spear first, and as he endured the pain, he stabbed the knife into his right hand.
No.
There is a limit to his constitution. If you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
I'm sorry. Alright, I understand this time, Kazuichi. You're still a creep, alright? But I understand, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
Like I said, if you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
I'll take your word for it, Sonia.
Say it one more time. I need to record it. For reasons.
Hey, bastard, you better cut it out.
Yeah, it's taking it a little too far.
Like she said, in that condition, it's very difficult to stab yourself with a spear.
Well, it's less difficult for a spear that has a long cord on it.
It'd be hard to use a spear with a knife stabbed into your right hand while your left hand is tied up.
So you're saying it's impossible?
No.
But no matter what I think, I can't believe Nagito's death was caused by someone else.
I also agree with that. To think that one of us could kill someone with such cruelty, I could never believe that.
I mean, I could believe it. The evidence just doesn't point there.
You say you can't believe it? You just don't want to believe it, right?
I think he's got you there.
But that's why you keep getting betrayed over and over again, right? Same goes for this time, too.
I don't think it does go for this time, too.
You just shut your mouth. It's against the rules to interfere with everyone.
You go, Usami.
If you even think about doing anything, I have a plan of my own.
I hope it's a good one.
Monomi's sassing me!
Yeah, what are you gonna do about it?
But it's just as Monokuma said. We've been betrayed over and over again so far, so this might also be the same. Calling this a suicide takes too much for granted, and it's too convenient.
Then are you saying there is a killer among us, Kazuichi?
Of course that doesn't include Miss Sonia and me.
As Kazuichi said, it's true we've been constantly betrayed. But even if I'm betrayed again, I still want to believe in everyone. No matter how many times I may be betrayed, I still want to believe in everyone.
I also want to believe that there's no killer, but suicide is unimaginable.
For anyone on this island besides Nagito, I would agree.
Do you really think so?
But you said it too. It'd be impossible for him to stab himself with a spear in his condition.
No, it wouldn't.
I did say difficult, but I never said impossible.
Huh?
I feel that there's some way he could have stabbed himself with that spear.
I mean, it's self-evident. There's the blood on the girder.
What kind of way?
The lack of blood on his hand. Well, I mean, except for, the backs of his fingers.
I don't know.
You don't know.
We know.
It's impossible to figure out by myself. So let's think about it together. That's how we made it this far up till now.
Everyone working together.
She's right. We've made it through several ordeals up till now by doing that. Then even now.
All right, let's do this.
Probably the blood and lack thereof, or limit thereof.
How did Nagito stab himself with a spear?
However you want to say it.
Let's work together and think this through.
When the spear stabbed Nagito, his right hand was covered by the knife, right?
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Then that rules out his left hand.
No, it doesn't.
No, that's wrong! Hold on. It's still too early to dismiss the possibility that he used his left hand.
Why? I mean, his left hand was tied up,
But there was something off about his left hand.
There was a lot of clean spots on it.
The bloodstain on the palm of his hand. Don't you think it looked somewhat strange?
I mean, it looks strange because it's non-existent.
He only had blood on the lower area of his palm. Beyond that point, the bloodstain suddenly cuts off, right?
When the blood splattered, that's as far as it reached, right?
That settles the description of that bloodstain, but it's not the only unnatural bloodstain.
The back of his hand?
Look, there's blood on the back of his hand, around the middle joints of his fingers.
Because they were curled to the front.
Like you said, it looks like an unnatural bloodstain, but what's wrong with that?
We might need to think and use our imaginations for a bit. If there's blood on his palm and the back of his hand, what was his left hand doing as the blood splattered?
It was a fist. What was Nagito's left hand doing when the blood splattered? Gripping.
I see!
When the blood splattered, he was probably gripping with his left hand. That's why there's such a strange-looking bloodstain on his palm and the back of his hand.
Was he grabbing his front tail?
Why are you so obsessed with that right now, Akane? It's just in the last little bit that you've started talking about that so much.
Perish the thought! He was obviously grabbing the spear!
Okay.
Now that you mention it, compared to the rest of his body, the wounds on his left arm are pretty mild. He probably made his wounds mild on purpose, so he could keep his strength while he gripped the spear.
Right, if he had lost too much blood, then he would have gone unconscious.
But even if he held the spear with his tied-up left hand, it'd be impossible for him to stab himself.
Well, that's the problem.
Hey, Chiaki, what do you think?
I think there's a steel girder that shows the truth of the situation.
Hey, don't tell me you're getting sleepy.
At times like this, you should always strike from a good angle. Just like fixing an old TV.
Okay.
Oh, I got it. Maybe.
Huh? Really?
Yeah, like I thought. It's no mistake that Nagito was gripping the spear. I think.
No, you're right.
However, what's important is what section of the spear he was gripping.
The cord. Which section of the spear was he holding on to?
I see!
That's it. Instead of the handle, Nagito must have been holding on to the cord. There was a metal weight at the tip of the cord, but there were bloodstains on that part too.
Well, all except for the spot that he was gripping.
Plus, the joint between the weight and the cord had a bloodstain shaped like it was cut off by something.
Isn't the size of that cut-off section about the same size as a human fist?
Yes.
Ah, you're right. So this is the part Nagito was gripping, huh? And then the blood that was supposed to end up here ended up getting on Nagito's left hand.
But why is it so important to know which part of the spear he was gripping?
Because of the way the spear was used.
You're not gonna say he gripped the tip of the cord, swung the spear around, and stabbed himself, right?
Not quite.
That is where the clue to solve this mystery resides. Right, Chiaki?
Yeah.
I am sorry. Of course this mystery will not be solved that easily.
No, it will. It will be solved that easily. At least this part of it. Huh. Nagito was gripping the cord extending from the butt of the spear with his left hand. But from there, how would he stab himself in the stomach with the spear? I smell a logic dive.
It seems we are stuck. Shall we have tea time?
That would be lovely.
At a time like this.
I think tea time would be great at a time like this, Chiaki. That would give us all a chance to cool down, calm down, get our wits together. In fact, I think this is the perfect place to put a cut in, and we will pick up again next time. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, let me know in the comments by leaving a like below. And of course, subscribe if you'd like to see more in the future. I have been Tevaron, and until next time, friends, be excellent to each other.